What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I want to talk about the recent power creep that is happening on Romancing SaGa universe and how you should decide when to pull for new units or not. Well, this has become a hot topic right now because we are getting double banners every week. But this happened on JP as well. After their third anniversary, they started seeing double banners everywhere. And well, nothing can be done. They are just following what JP does. And JP even suffers more because they don't have any sort of future sight. They can just release a very powerful unit in this banner and then another one in the next banner, and you may not have enough chance to save and prepare. Global does have a little of future sight, but they can just make a unit that you decided to skip so much better that you may actually want. This was the case of UniverSe. Well, on JP he was not that great because he needed to attack weak targets in order to get extra BP. Without it, he would not have a very good cycle. He didn't have a very good chance of healing with his skill number 3, he was only 50%. Now in global he has an additional 37% in all attacks. And now he also always recovers 5 VP per turn, making it so that he can use this attack every 2 turns or inherit from his UDX style to guarantee a healing. This made UniverSe so much better that he rivals Chef Polka, one of the best characters in the game so far. Chef Polka heals, can counter, negates a different type of damage, but was used in lots of different hard challenges. Polka is still useful. You can still run Polka in the same way that you will be using the newest version of UniverSe, save for when you need to avoid shadow damage. This Polka will avoid flame damage, but something needs to be said. All content that can be done with this Chef Polka will be able to be done by UniverSe, and the reverse is also true. So, if you don't have enough gens and you want to save for different banners, you can skip UniverSe. Okay, UniverSe has attack damage with his left fork, can add even more. If you do happen to have his past versions, okay, you can take full benefit of all of his possible setups. Steel Blade Light or left fork. It does make sense to pull for the character to have alternatives. Okay, I will not say too much about this case specifically, but there are other cases where we could just decide to skip because the upgrade was not that great. For example, Leon. The first version of Leon is still useful. He's still very strong because he can do blunt and slash damage and even cold by inheritance of his S style that has this attack called Ice Revolver. That is just cold damage. But now they are releasing a new version of Leon in a new banner, and this new version of Leon is a mix of blunt and cold damage, and you can already do this type of damage in the game with the first version of Leon or even the second. But then let's talk about the second version of Leon. To be honest, this second version of Leon was easy to skip because it didn't add too much utility over the first version of Leon. This will happen a lot in this game. They want to release a new character that just becomes a slight upgrade over the past one. And you can skip when you see something like this. If you had summoned for the second version of Leon, you could have just spent 45,000 gens in order to get him. That could be saved into using for the third version of Leon that will be here, because he is much better than the second version. He starts the fight with 2 chases, he can perform well on farming, and well, he's just much faster than the first version of Leon. See what I'm getting? Sometimes you can skip slight upgrades because you will not see much value out of them. I may still pull more than the general player because I need to showcase different strategies sometimes. And also, it may become interesting to make a video comparing different versions of Leon so that you can understand if one is better than the other. But I am a content creator. The regular player do not need to follow my pulls. Try to follow my advice, but not just mine. See other content creators. check other players, see if your upgrade is needed. But even on the case of Leon, if you already have UDX Silver that deals both blunt and cold damage, you can decide to skip the third version of Leon just fine, since you can already cover those elements with another character. When talking about this, it will also remind me that we have a meta character called Gustave. Well, Gustave Scrumguard has access to inheritance from the Let's Paint version, and he's now the best support unit in the game. Well, he has attack boost, defense boost, endurance buff, 2BP generation. He also has morale up, guard up, and allowing the Scrumguard, it's just amazing. And today, on reset time, they will release this new version of Final Impress that is a side grade to that Gustave. Even if she is not exactly a carbon copy, she will operate similarly, and any of those two characters can clear the same type of content. And this is important to understand because people with this Gustave can totally skip this Final Impress, unless you are a collector or someone that purchases gen, likes the character, so okay to pull. But it's just to explain that you do not need to collect side grades. They exist to give alternatives to people that decided to skip in certain moment of the game, and now they have a different option, because we don't see reruns anymore. Unless we are on anniversaries or special celebrations, you won't see banners with old units. Another example is Death. Well, Death newest style has this attack, call it Netherward Sight, that has Shadow and Slash, but the character itself is not even that great. Having access to a 3-hit attack is something that we already saw in Silver. Well, Silver is very strong by having access to Vandalize plus 3 hits of B power. It lacks shadow damage, but not many bosses are weak to shadow. So Death is weaker to Global X Silver and UDX Silver. Why would you want to summon for this Death? Unless you get it by accident when pursuing Saruin, you really didn't need to summon for the character. Saruin himself was actually worked because he brings a new type of mechanic. That is to boost the damage of his allies and give BP to everyone. And he has a very strong cycle of using a nuke attack and then a strong attack and keep it for very high amounts of damage. But imagine being someone that summoned for Hercules before Saruin got released. Okay, so Hercules is not really that bad, to be honest. He can do some damage, but in his review I just said that you should totally skip the character because his damage output is inconsistent. And now, look, Saruin completely outclassed Hercules. And people that pulled for Hercules will find very hard moments where they can actually put the character into practice unless they want to use the character anyway. So, you need to check if a character is strong enough and if it will add utility in your party. If you can see that it has way too many flaws, they will release a version in the future that doesn't have these flaws. Like Saruin, he does not need to attack on overdrive, while Hercules needs to attack on overdrive. That was actually a flaw in his design. So, Christoph is another example. In my opinion, people with Gustave didn't need to pull for Christoph. Even people with Undine, that is good support as well. You don't need to pull for Christoph, because he barely adds something new to the table. Like, he increases overdrive attacks. Okay, but overdrive happens once every 3 turns. Will this really matter? No, it won't. Having Christoph will not make you win. If you already have Undine, or if you already have Let's Paint Gustav, you can do it. You just don't need to pull on Everbanner. Or even the case of Cities, that is a character that has good damage, but what she does can be found in other units. And she does not increase or upgrade the role. That means that they will release someone that will do it in the future. You won't always know if a character will be easily outclassed, but there are some sites of it. Well, one that won't be outclassed easily is, for example, the latest version of Socho that I explained in my review that is way too unique. He has this skill called Let Me Handle It that buffs 10 BP to the party. And there's only one other character on JP that can do it, and he is very far away. So Socho has something unique. It just adds a little bit of fun, but also utility in the party. Better than just summon someone like Christoph if you already have Let's Paint Gustav, since you just have difficulty choosing which one of them to use in the same type of strategy, while you could just use someone else using a different type of strategy. There was a banner that was actually very nice to summon for, that we had characters that we could understand that would not get easily replaced. Witch's Daughter. She also gives BP to the target and gives OD Gouge as well, but she has this skill called Sweet Smell that buffs all status and also removes all the buffs applied to the team. We didn't have many characters in the game that could remove all the buffs applied, and she even added a layer of it being a fast skill and it allowing you to buff all status on the same time. This was very unique. Alongside Witch's Daughter, we got Melissa, that is a buffer, another type of character that is good to have because they are not exactly unique. Melissa buffs different status, and even after Muse got released later, she buffs a little different status too. That means that you are not actually losing, you can even use those two together, instead of summoning for a character that is just clashing with the options that you already have. And the last character from that banner was Bertrand, and he's actually very powerful as well. He can counter with Twin Goldfish when directly attacked, that has defense boost, attack boost. When attacking he can trigger cure attacks as well, and he can give BP to the party. It was a very nice combination. And now we just got Shira. Shira is a character that can also counter, but she does not self-buff, and she does not heal on attack, only once per turn. That means that even though some content can be done by both, Shira is always inferior to Bertrand. That means that why would you pull for Shira? Only if you are a real fan of the character. That it's okay, if you are, just accept it. But you could skip the character completely if you got Saruin, for example. So where I'm getting it's just that new characters need to be much better than the options that we already have. If the upgrade is pretty small, you can keep using what you already have, especially if you don't have too many gems. I know this can lead into frustration, but as fast as we accept that we cannot have them all unless we are collectors, the better it will be for our fun. With that said, that is my opinion. I really hope this can help people think a little about when and if they should be pulling. Remember that you don't need to do it on day one. Always check the community, check the reviews, and decide upon yourself. Thank you so much for watching this. Please subscribe if you haven't. I really want to see you again on the next video. Bye.